I'm willing to admit my mistake. It was definitely a mistake. Thankfully, this mistake didn't cause lots of damage because, yeah, needless to say, I could have really wrecked some stuff today. Okay, so I came back to the apartment here. I was gonna do a bunch of video editing and, you know, get some work done, but I couldn't stop thinking about the tires. So Janelle and I we're gonna go on an adventure. Okay, so we're up here on Jones Lake, and the water is like exceptionally higher than it was when we were here last time. So that has caused some exploring to take place. And so we've now found this other area, which is potential for driving straight down to the waterfront. But there's kind of like this thing called the road is, I'll just show you. Okay, so as you can see, it's kind of got these cool mud features. The only place that I'm actually really concerned about as far as getting through or not is this area right here, just because it's like mangled. But I have some recovery gear, so if we get a little stucky, we'll get out. So I'm going to leave this camera here and see how this goes. Okay, so we did great on part one, made it through all that stuff. But part two, the section that I had the concern about, I was worth being concerned about. So, not going to be able to make it over the stump section, and I'm going to have to winch myself backwards out of this. This is about to get a lot of fun. Okay, so we just had a little break, eating some chips and salsa. Janelle's down on the beach reading. And now I'm going to try solve this slightly stuck, very stuck sprinter problem. I wouldn't have done this if I didn't think I had a way to recover. And I do have a way to recover. There's 1,000,001 trees here. And thankfully I know a little bit about pulleys. And I have my rescue pulleys here. So in theory, I should be able to rig something up off the hitch that I just installed on the Sprinter and back to a cluster of trees. And essentially I should be able to just like winch it out. But there is a chance that that doesn't work. And I'm not quite prepared for what's going to happen then. But I'm like, at this point I'd say I'm like 70% certain I'm going to be able to just use pulleys. Okay, maybe like 60. This should work. This should work fine. Okay, so I got my whole rig set up, and this stuff might not look like those big winches or toe straps that you see, but it's definitely strong enough. This stuff is really high quality gear. The only concern I have is the angle that I'm trying to pull at. So the Sprinter's kind of like stuck at a bit of a downward thing, so my pulling angle isn't really what I describe as ideal at all. I don't really want to scrape the Sprinter on the ground. So that's what I'm most nervous about right now. But I'm willing to kind of give this current setup some tension and kind of see how everything behaves. Here we go. I'm actually going to change something up. I don't really like one weak point in the system, so I'm going to go re-rig real quick. Well, I successfully got her unstuck from the main part I was stuck in, and now it's just the fun project of reversing it out of here. Which will be kind of stupid, but yeah, should work. Oh. I am a very happy man right now. We got the truck out, winches and pulleys were working, but two heroes came and really helped pull me up this long last section and through some of those ruts. So, Dwayne,
hi there.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
You guys can tell the story. You found that guy with the big white van stuck down by the lake and you pulled him out.
So we're out of here. You're good
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
You can turn around up there. So
Well, I guess that's one way to break in some tires, but got Florence out. Florence was pretty stuck, I ended up kind of bending a little bit of the side skirt on one side, but other than that, no damage. And that just has me relieved and everything's good. And I never should have done that. I should have trusted my bad feeling. But all the while, Janelle was just waiting patiently, reading a book on the beach. There she is. So now we're just gonna do what we came here to do: make some hot dogs on the beach and hang out. It's gonna be a good evening. It's getting dark. I have no idea what time it is. That's just like I'm on cloud 9 after getting it out. Oh, so good. Okay, so we just finished eating our hot dogs. Those are really tasty. Great to get a good meal in after a pretty hectic fight with Florence and that route. I'm probably going to title this video something like Sprinter Off-Roading Gone Terribly Wrong. And I'm not actually sure if I captured it well enough on footage or if my face showed it enough to show how terribly wrong it was actually going. So I decided I should just unpack quick what kind of went down there. First of all, and first and foremost, the reason why that happened was entirely user error. That was entirely a bad judgment call on my part. I should not have taken the Sprinter down that section. It was just a bad call. So if you're curious how to avoid that, just don't do what I did. But what happened was, let me explain a bit more on a technical level. What happened was, I had enough clearance for most of those areas to kind of get in and around those corners, and I knew if I carried my momentum through some of those like muddy corners, I could get around and I'd be able to, kind of get down this section. My plan was to get down to this beach area here. There's a nice big flat gravel packed area there. I was going to turn around, we were going to hang out here, and then at the end of the day I was going to drive back up. Worst case scenario in my mind, I pictured I would lose traction on the steep section leaving the beach, and I'd have to maybe do some winching there. But I figured because I'd have momentum, I'd be able to just kind of carry it in and through, and I'd be set to go. But one thing I didn't account for, even though I have new added clearance with my new tires, was there's a root section and a corner that dipped, and I didn't really anticipate how much it dipped and how bulgy that root section really was. And essentially the van kind of just high-sided right on that point. Terrible mistake. Put a little dent in the van. I'm a little disappointed about that. Entirely my fault. So then immediately as I knew I was starting to high-side on this, just stopped, called it quits, and I knew I was going to have to winch out backwards. And the process of winching out backwards worked great, actually. I was really stoked with how the recovery gear was working for being rescue equipment. But the problem was when I got to sections that I could start driving, it's really hard to get momentum and steer backwards through those sections. So because I had zero momentum, I was just getting stuck every couple feet, which was great. So we spent, I think, 2.5 hours or 3 hours battling that. And I tried to not get too stressed, but it's kind of stressful in some ways, and I'll probably actually never attempt a road like that again. So I guess there's my one time to do it. But the new tires are amazing. I guess that's one way to break them in. On the drive up, there's a lot of these steep gravelly sections that with our old tires we were spinning the whole way up. But now with these new tires we could go a lot slower and just kind of take it easy and crawl up. Probably going to get hazing a bit in the comments from some people that stumble onto this video, but I'm willing to admit my mistake. It was definitely a mistake, and I'm thankful for Janelle's patience with me figuring that out. Thankfully this mistake didn't cause lots of damage because there's a diesel fuel tank under there, and yeah, needless to say I could have really wrecked some stuff today. Very thankful we didn't. Very thankful for those two guys that really helped me pull out of that last long section, and yeah, very thankful because that would have just taken a long time to do with the recovery gear. Yep, now we're gonna head home. Lessons learned. Still a good day.